what happened last spring training when the Boston Red Sox were supposed to be giving Xander Bogaerts a contract extension that he would sign and be a Red Sox for life? That's a big question. Luke and we are here to talk about the whole Xander Bogaerts saga in spring training. So, without any waste of time, let's get straight into it. I'm here with Luke. My name is Derek. You're watching Bleacher Brawls, and let's get straight into it. First things first, I want to go to Luke because Luke is the one who was kind of come up with this idea to do the YouTube video on it. So I want to throw it over to Luke. Obviously, we all know what happened pretty much with Bogaerts, but I'll let Luke give you a brief overview of the whole situation that was at hand.
Well, Xander Bogaerts, he just signed for with the Padres for an absolutely insane contract. He's a 30-year-old shortstop. He's a very good player, but he vanishes from June through August every year. This year is just a good example of that. Look his numbers up on baseballreference.com. Sign a player like that for 11 years. When you have Fernando Tatis Jr., when you have Manny Machado, when you have Ha-Seong Kim already, just really came from out of nowhere. And they gave him a full no trade clause. So they're stuck with him until he's 41, unless Bogaerts decides to leave. But the issue is not that the Red Sox should have matched that offer. Nobody thinks the Red Sox should have paid him. Nobody thinks the Padres should pay him for 11 years and $280 million. The issue is really that it should have never gotten to this. He should have never made it to free agency. That's the prevailing theory among Red Sox fans, Red Sox beat reporters, podcasters. Everyone seems to think that Bogaerts should have been re-signed last spring, way before he ever got to free agency. So that's what I wanted to touch on here today.
Yeah, it is definitely one that, you can kind of think, hey, Red Sox want to keep him here for life. Well, all it takes is one, the quote unquote saying of, all it takes is one stupid team to just throw the money at someone and take them away from you. So based on that saying, you probably should get a deal done before free agency. There are some factors in it, like Dave Dombrowski giving Bogaerts an opt-out, where you could just maybe pay him a couple million more a year, maybe, or get rid of that opt-out. I don't know. But it's just one of those things where he has an opt-out. He's going to take it. He's going to take it. You got to get something done if you want to keep him or risk the fact of him hitting free agency. Now, going back to last spring, obviously there were big talks with Bogaerts and Rafael Devers. There are different reports on the Bogaerts talks. Some it was the saying that, it was just 4 years, 90 million. Take the last 3 years at 60 million, add an extra year for 30 million. John Heyman recently has come out saying it wasn't 90 million, it was 120 million, but didn't specify the years. So it's either 4 years, 30 a year, or 5 years, 120, with the first three being the 20 million that it was going to be, and then the last two being 30. Not getting too deep into those though. But if that's what the Red Sox were giving, what did they really expect to happen?
Yeah, I think that's true. What do you expect to happen when the offer that is reported is what they're really offering him? 4 years for $90 million. I don't believe that. I don't believe they offered him 4 years and $90 million. He still had 3 years left on the existing contract. That's a 1 year extension. And I don't think he would have taken a deal for less than 8 years at $25 million a pop. I really don't. Because, I mean, the ultimate reference point for me is that Kyle Seager last offseason. Did I say Kyle Seager? I always do that. Yes. If I was trying to talk about Kyle, I'd call him Corey. Corey Seager got a 10-year contract last offseason for $325 million from the Texas Rangers. So I don't remember when he signed that, but I know it was in the offseason after 2021. I don't know if it was at the winter meetings or
I think it was no winter meetings last year. I think it was pre-lockout.
Oh, that's right. Pre-lockout. So only a couple years before the Red Sox make this offer, Corey Seager signs that contract, 10 years, $325 million. If you are in your right mind, I can't see how you would think that Xander Bogaerts and more importantly, Scott Boras would take a contract any less than 8 years of $25 million per year. So what's been going around the Boston media, I think Pete Abraham was the first one that came out with it. It was very vague, though. He said a source intimated that perhaps if the Red Sox offered Bogaerts a contract similar to Trevor Story's contract of 6 years and $140 million, that he would have stayed. I call total BS on that because of the Corey Seager contract. Scott Boras knows what Corey Seager got paid. Xander Bogaerts knows what Corey Seager got paid. Now, Seager's 2 years younger. He's only 28. He was 27 at the time the contract was signed. But Xander Bogaerts is a better player than Corey Seager. And I just do not see. They took Bogaerts and Boras took a hometown discount last contract. Now, he was the highest paid shortstop in the game when he signed it. It's kind of a stretch calling that a hometown discount in 2019. But I mean, it was.
But Machado was a third baseman had just gotten 10 for 300.
Yeah, it was a 6-year contract. He had a 3-year opt out. It was like, all right, I'm definitely opting out after this 3 years. But, knowing that they did that the last contract, he's a Scott Boras contract. Sooner or later, he's going to cash in. He's going to be looking to cash in. So I don't believe that at all. The Red Sox were always going to have to pay big for Xander Bogaerts. I don't care what the rumors in the Boston sports media are saying. So that's the thing that bugs me about this, that, they could have paid him pennies on the dollar and he would have stayed. That is not true. Should they have gotten something done in the spring? If it was 7 years, 8 years, I don't think so. I really don't. And all that Bogaerts and Boras ever said was they just wanted a fair market offer. Fair market, in quotes, is a very relative term. And I think the operative facet to that is the Corey Seager contract. I think they looked at that as a fair market. A 27-year-old shortstop gets 10 years at $325 million. Well, this 30-year-old, he's going to have to get 8 years at at least $25 million per.
Yeah. I think a lot of people were using the Marcus Semien deal as a comparative because Semien got 7 for 175, so 7 years, $25 million a year. Bogaerts, when he was going to hit free agency at the end of the 2022 season, 1 year younger than Semien when he hits free agency at the end of the 21 season. So everyone, okay, just add an extra year, 8 for 200. That's kind of what everyone was thinking. And the thing is, though, here's my thing on this. If even, let's say, Bogaerts, you gave him, so reportedly this offseason, the best offer the Red Sox gave Bogaerts was 6 years, 160. Let's even roll with that. Why was that not offered in the spring? I'm not saying Bogaerts would have accepted it, even though maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But you're heck of a lot closer to getting something agreed with if you offer him 6/160 in the spring than if you wait till the winter to offer it. That's kind of clear to me. And if Bogaerts is only asking for 8,200 and you give him 6,160 in the spring, maybe he doesn't accept it, but you're a heck of a lot closer to a deal than you are if the reported numbers are true of 90 or only 120 in the spring. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, okay, but why didn't you just give your best offer in the spring? And maybe you go a little bit further, maybe 165 or 170, maybe if you absolutely have to. But why wait till the winter when you got teams that are burning a hole in their pocket, like the Padres, and other teams like the Cubs, who are reportedly around $200 million for Bogaerts, and maybe even the Giants might have been sniffing around him too. Why wait till the winter to give him your best offer? That's the big question on my part of it, on my side of it.
So if that's true, like, I'm going to disqualify the 4 for 90 for now, for the sake of this argument. I don't think they offered him 4 years for $90 million. If they did, then he truly was never a priority, and that was a go away price. I'm going to, for the sake of this argument, let's assume it was 5 years, $120 million. You said 6 years, $160 million, which is what they offered him. What Bloom said that they offered him. I think he said it, but
that's not what Bloom said, but it's what.
Yeah, they don't talk about negotiation, but that's what's been reported. 6 years for $460 million. If 6/160 would have gotten him to stay in the spring, then how come 5 and 120 is a non-starter? Because the Red Sox made an offer and then they walked away from the table. That's what I have always heard. So if 6 and 160 would have gotten it done, then 5 and 120 should at least continue negotiations, be good enough to continue negotiations. You walk away from the table from that. What, you add 1 more year and a few $1 million per, and you're at 6/160 already. So if it's 4 years and $90 million, I get that you can see that as a walk away from the table price. But I just don't really buy that, because I do think they wanted to keep him, but they wanted to keep him for a
A
a
price that
decent,
fit them.
yeah, a reasonable amount of time, and considering they have Marcelo Mayer coming up. So, I mean, I just don't really buy that. I don't, I just don't buy that the idea of 490, and I don't believe that, a storyish contract, would have gotten it done.
Yeah. And it's not even that the fact that it would have got done or not. It's just the fact of why don't you give your best offer in the spring? Because you get to the trade deadline. Bogaerts is even willing to open up talks in the All-Star break. But what if you're going to give him your best offer, give it to him in spring training, because if he doesn't take it and the Red Sox were in the place they were in July, there's a thing called a trade deadline where teams want to make their team better. You could have gotten something for Bogaerts if you had a good feeling he wasn't coming back, or he was going to get a lot more in the open market, which is eventually what did happen. And now the Red Sox, they lose Bogaerts. Normally you get a second and a fifth round pick, compensation picks in both those rounds, after the second round, after the fifth round. The Red Sox are getting a compensation pick after the fourth round because they were over the luxury tax. And guess who also, the Red Sox free agent Nathan Eovaldi, qualifying offer on him as well. If he goes elsewhere, you're getting less compensation for him as well. So, maybe you can't, maybe no one wants to take JD or whatever, but if you see the writing on the wall that Xander's not leaving and he's not taking your best offer, then you have fair grounds to say, hey, maybe we look at trading him, especially with how 2022 was going.
But because, and I think Chaim Bloom would have liked to do that because I think he kind of saw the writing on the wall in the spring. I think he saw he didn't want to go a really long-term contract with Bogaerts, and I think that he was like, he's probably not going to stay, but I think ownership got involved in that, and I think it was a case of the fan base will never accept that. You can't trade him away. You're the guy that traded Betts away. It was the last guy's fault they had to trade Betts, but you can't be the guy that trades away Bogaerts too. We just got to suck it up, and we're going to have to lose him for nothing. I'm guessing that was kind of ownership's edict.
But even if that, though, you could have done a better job not losing for literally a fourth round pick isn't that much. You at least could have gotten like a second and a fifth round pick for him if you got out of their luxury tax. So there's also that to it too. It's like this is also a thing in during the trade deadline. If you get near the trade deadline, you feel the boats are going the wrong way and the team's not going in the right way to try and push for a playoff spot. Maybe shift off a guy like a JD Martinez, even if you get nothing back, gets you under the luxury tax. Bogaerts leaves, Eovaldi leaves, hypothetically. You're going to get way more back than what you are going to get back now.
I thought that at the time too, and I was in sell mode at the deadline, and it just doesn't feel like Bloom. Bloom seems like a guy who makes smart business decisions. He doesn't let other factors get into that, and I'm guessing that was ownership's call too, to say, no, we have to do something. We can't let this fan base think that we are selling. We've got to say we did whatever we could to try to win. So we can't dump them off. And yes, that proved to be a bad move because they lost a pick, and they would have gotten a good pick and a not so good pick, and they ended up just getting a blah pick. And it's too bad. You can't be half in, half out like that. You gotta, when you get slammed with injuries like that, you just gotta embrace it and just be like, it's not happening this year. It's not happening this year.
Especially if you have expiring deals. And even if you want to keep Bogaerts, you have a guy like a Michael Wacha or a JD Martinez that are on some bigger deals. Even Nathan Eovaldi, if you want to go that far, but they did give him the qualifying offer. So maybe not him or Bogaerts, but there were guys that they could have moved off, and they didn't have to bring in a guy like Tommy Pham, who was $6 million now make that prorated over whatever's left of the season, but they could have gotten under the luxury tax is the point. And now you at least get a second and fifth back for Bogaerts instead of just a fourth. And I think everyone will take a second and fifth over a fourth. Not to say you can't get anything good with that fourth round pick, but your chances are a heck of a lot better with the second and fifth. But back to the whole spring training thing, it's like you got to set yourself up. You have to know what you're getting into, because if the season goes the right way and your team's good, then you don't have to worry about it. But if the season goes how it eventually did and goes south, you got to be prepared to make a decision on whether or not you're going to keep him or not, or you're going to put yourself in the best spot to get a return if he does leave from the qualifying offer system.
And the thing, and that's the reason I feel like that, you just gotta, you're in or you're out, and you can't be half and half. And that's why I think that was ownership's call to not trade him and to acquire something, Eric Hosmer and Tommy Pham, as if that's gonna help things. I believe in what Chaim Bloom's doing. I believe in his philosophy. Get younger, don't commit any contracts that could prove to be cost prohibitive in the future. Do I want a 37-year-old Xander Bogaerts making premium shortstop money? It won't be premium shortstop money then, but do I want to sign him to that kind of contract? I don't. Not for 7 years, not for 8 years. And I said months ago, 6 years, $150 million. That's what I think Xander Bogaerts is worth. And Bloom's offer was really close to that, 6 years and $160 million. So he kind of felt along the same ways that I did. And I think, look, Xander Bogaerts is a really good player. This isn't me trying to whitewash it or anything. He always does really well in April and May. He always does really well in September. In the dog days, June, July, and August, he is not nearly as good a player. And we saw it this year. This team was beat up with injuries. This team was not doing well. They needed him. They needed JD Martinez to step up. And they were bad. They were bad offensively during that time period. So, like, is Xander Bogaerts going to get better over the years?
I just wonder how much of it is it to also him. Like, he literally wants to play every single day, and it's like, regardless of the size of the injury, unless he legitimately cannot play, he will put himself out there injured, which will hurt his performance. And I think it was 2015 where he has great first half of the year. It was leading the league in batting average, got injured, continued to play, and just wasn't good the rest of the way. And I know at that time there were a lot of Red Sox fans clamoring to trade him because he was so bad that down the stretch of that year. But he was playing injured, and I wonder how many times can you play injured and it take a toll on you too over time, just consistently playing injured, and not just in one season, but seasons and seasons of having time where you play injured. It'll hurt you. We saw Rafi Devers, and he probably got this from Bogaerts. He's going to play injured too. Seeing Devers just trying to run the bases didn't look comfortable for him the second half of the season after he came back off the injured list. You might have been better just shutting him down for the rest of the season, it felt like, with the team not really doing anything.
And playing injured at a position like shortstop on top of that. And it's just, I think the right thing ended up happening. And I know vast majority of Boston Red Sox fans don't agree with that, but I don't think Xander Bogaerts is going to be a prime player in 5 years. I really don't. And I think for this year and for next year and the year after, people are going to hate Chaim Bloom for this. And I understand where they're coming from for that, but you got to look past the first few years and look at the entirety of the contract. The Padres are certainly going to regret this in years 8, 9, 10, and 11.
The only thing that they can say is if they win a World Series, then hey, at least that's the same thing we say about David Price. We hate that contract, but hey, we won a World Series at least.
Yeah, but we won a World Series. But the Red Sox, I think, are beyond that now, should be beyond that. Try to build something like the Astros and the Dodgers have built, where you are contending, a legitimate contender for a championship every single year. And I think that's what he's doing. And that usually means free agency, you're not going to be a big player because you got to buy extra years that you don't want to get free agents. It sucks. I loved Bogaerts. Everybody loved Bogaerts, but I think a 30-year-old shortstop who doesn't hit consistently over the course of the year, he never really has, that it's not the kind of building block that you want to pay a premium price for a lot of years. You got Marcelo Mayer coming up. He's just a prospect. You don't know what he's going to contribute, but
the reports are glowing on him, though. Essentially,
it looks
he's arguably a top 5 prospect in baseball.
If Marcelo Mayer is not in the system, if he doesn't fall to you with the 4th pick in the draft 2 years ago, then maybe we're not having this discussion, and maybe Chaim Bloom is like, all right, we got to do what we got to do. But we've got a better farm system than we had before Chaim Bloom got here, and I'm excited about what this could turn into. He's got to get another bat for this year, but I keep going back to Corey Seager's contract. 10 years, $325 million. And, Xander Bogaerts is going to take 5 or 6 years at $25 million per. I just don't buy that. don't think we could have gotten him in the spring for less than 8 years.
Yeah, it's tough to like maybe 6 years, 30 a year gets him because that's more than Semien total deal, but also a less year. So, but it still feels like would he really only take 6 years? It still feels that's like a little bit of a worry there. But and this is such a big deal now because we're gonna have the Rafi Devers this whole thing is just gonna come up again with Devers in a year, and it's not even a year, a couple months now. And it's going to be, what do you do with Devers? Can you re-sign him? If you don't re-sign him, then the question comes, do you trade him? Do you do what you did with Mookie Betts? Do you sit on him till the trade deadline and wait to see how the team performs?
He's the bat. He's the bat you do that for. If you got to sign him for 12 years, then you do, I think, because he's the generational bat. Bogaerts is the productive bat, but he's his 162 game averages a little under 300, 20 home runs. Devers is the guy that'll get you 35 home runs every season. He'll get you 100 RBIs, every season, just about. He's that bat. He's that, that a crazy, phenomenal bat to make your lineup go for the next several years. And he's only 27, I think. So, you lock him in for 10, 12 years and you hope for the best. I think Bogaerts is just a notch below that tier where you just pay whatever you have to for as long as you have to get him.
Yeah, I think like for Devers, you got to start off with the Machado deal, 10 years, 300 million, because the comparison, Yordan Alvarez signed a 6-year extension with the Astros earlier this year. The 3 free agent years in that deal, so the last 3 years are at 26 million a year each for a DH. Devers as a third baseman. Now, granted, Alvarez is a better hitter than Devers, but Devers is still right up there. You're going to pay him $4 more million, and he's going to play third base for you. Maybe not the whole duration of the deal, but by the time he's ready to move to DH, 30 million probably won't seem outrageous for a really, really good DH.
Yeah, his bat's that good. You lock him up, whatever it takes. He loses Devers. Bloom lets Devers go. He loses whatever bit of the fan base he has left after Bogaerts left, including me.
The only way you save any face for Devers is if you trade him and get like a ridiculous package back. And you're still going to lose fans if you do it. That's the only way you might give some people hope. Is you're getting a massive package back for Devers. That might be the only way. And, and there's also questions too. Manny Machado has an opt-out in San Diego next year. If Devers hits free agency and Machado opts out, does Bogaerts try and convince the Padres to bring Devers over? I'm not saying Devers would go there because of Bogaerts, but Bogaerts could, get in AJ Preller's ear and go, hey, can we bring him over? He's kind of my best friend. There could always have that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, still, Devers is younger. Give me Devers. Don't give me Machado.
No, I'm not saying the Red Sox get Machado. What I'm saying is you have the worry of now Bogaerts being in Preller's ear and being, hey, can we bring Devers over here? He's a free agent now. Like, let's give him money. And then
I wanted to say something about that too. Like the idea that, if you don't sign Bogaerts, you're not going to be able to re-sign Devers because he's Devers' buddy. Grow up. This is a business. Devers is going to go wherever he gets the best deal. I can't stand when I hear this. You needed to re-sign Bogaerts to lock up Devers. Now, why would Devers stay? Why would Devers stay? Because he knows the organization. Really good deal. He came up in the organization. He knows a lot of people there. He's close with Alex Cora. And if they give him the most money, if you give him the best deal, then he's going to sign here. Period. He can text Bogaerts and call him before and after every game if he wants to. It's nonsense.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. Like it's like they can FaceTime each other whenever the heck they want. Like they'll be fine. They won't die. Like it's not, you're not just mailing someone a letter and it takes them 6 months to get to them anymore. It's not 1820. Like you're like figure it out. Like you guys you have modern technology. You'll live. But also too, like Devers, like he'll get deals. The only thing the Red Sox have to prove to him now, because Bogaerts his whole year was not confident that the Red Sox were going to give him the money to stay, and I wonder could that be in Devers' head? The Red Sox are going to have to prove to Devers that they're going to want to build a team around him, because Devers will be the focal point. Even if Devers is still here and Meyer comes up, Devers will be the focal point because he will be the leader of the team. Devers will be that focal point of hopefully the Red Sox next championship team. Hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone will know that. And after this spring, this winter, everybody's going to know that. And this spring, he's the longest tenured
Position
player.
player.
Other than
Yeah.
there's one other I can't remember.
He's the longest tenured position player.
Yeah, he's the longest tenured position player.
It's him and then Alex Verdugo.
Yeah.
That
So
tells you the Red Sox, where the Red
yeah,
Sox are.
it's a new regime. It's a new team. It's Bloom's team, and I like the direction. Go young. Don't do anything stupid
Pitching.
that's gonna screw you over long term.
Yeah, to me, it seems like the Heim plan is right now for 2020. I think beyond two is just pitching, 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 pitching depth. You see the Rays, even the Astros, the Dodgers, all these. The Mariners are getting in on it with all their young pitchers. It's just pitching, pitching, pitching wins championships. The Astros, their rotation, it's all guys who have came through their system now. McCullers, Valdez, Javier, Urquidy, Garcia. That's their five, and they also have Hunter Brown to be a six if they want to still do the 6-man rotation. I think that's where the Red Sox are going, and I think that's kind of the plan for Bloom. Invest
Me
in
too.
pitching and have a good enough team on the field with mix of veterans and young guys to hopefully bring you a championship. I
And
think that's the
improve
plan.
scouting, player development in the minors, build from the organization. I know Bogaerts was a homegrown player, but the team wasn't quite at that point yet where they could make that kind of commitment. And I don't think Bogaerts is that kind of player that you extend for longer than you think he's going to be a very good player.
If you build from within, and then if you have holes that you need to fill in, like a DH spot, bring in a guy like the Red Sox did in 2018 with JD Martinez. That's how you do it. Build from within and then fill in your holes as they need to be filled when you're close. Yeah,
Exactly.
I think that's a great place to kind of wrap this thing up. I think we're just kind of get straight into this closing statement because it's a big deal for the Red Sox. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on Bogaerts, the whole Devers thing, just the overall situation, state of the Red Sox. It's going to be a very interesting next couple of months for the Red Sox. Check out all the links in the description, the Bleacher Brawls website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter, plus all the crew's Twitters. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified whenever we post. We're going to have 2 videos a week, plus whatever big free agent signings or trades happen this offseason. It's going to be a fun one. For Luke, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in to Bleacher Brawls, and we'll see you next time.